Hello friends, welcome once again to the channel IT Simplified. In today's video in Azure, I'm here to discuss deployment slots within Azure App Service. So by now you should have a better understanding of what Azure App Service is, where App Service Plan fits, what are the different tiers, and we also did a demo of how to deploy a web application in our last video. So say for example, you deploy a web application in your app service plan. And let's say name of this web app is production app. Every organization on an ongoing basis, they need to make changes to these web application to make it much more attractive and effective. And that is where deployment slots will come into play. So what I can do is under the same service plan, I can add say an app's a deployment slot with the name staging. I can test my code or the changes that I have made, and if it is satisfactory, I can swap this staging deployment slot with my production slot. So if I have to put the benefits of using deployment slots, one thing is it will allow me to validate the changes in my web app. I think that's benefit number one. Other benefit I also see is it reduces the downtime. Now, since you already have your web application within the staging slot, and that instance is already running, when you're trying to swap it, the user who's trying to access these applications, they won't experience any error or any downtime. So that's another great way of or the benefits of using deployment slot. And the last thing, it helps me to keep different versions. Now, say for example, I made certain changes to my staging web app, right? And I swapped it, and it is not behaving the way I wanted it. I can always revert it back. So with this, you can maintain different version of web applications within the deployment slot. The only thing that you need to remember, depending upon what app service plan you're using, there is a certain limitation of how many staging slots you can have. So as you remember, there are different tiers of application. In order to use the deployment slot feature, you need to be either in standard, premium, or in isolated tier. If you're using maybe free, basic, or shared tier, you don't have staging slots available. And also in this too, there is a limitation of how many staging slots you can maintain. For example, in standard it is 5, and for both premium and for isolated there are 20 slots you can maintain, right? But you can always upgrade. So say for example, you started your application in a free or in a basic tier and you want to use deployment slot, you can always scale it up to any of these three tier and make use of deployment slots. So with that, let me just go to the portal, and for this demonstration I'm going to use the same application that we deployed in our previous video with the name Mahadev. So the URL you can see here, let me just go and open it up, and this is the web page that we created, very basic. Now in order to add the slot, it is pretty straightforward, right? Under deployment, I can go to the deployment slots and click on this add button. Feel free to give any name. I'm going to name it staging. And you have this option of cloning the settings with your existing application, or do not clone any setting. I'm just going to leave that to the default and click on add. So the slot was created successfully. At this stage, I can close this window, and you can see that Mahadev staging has appeared over here. Now, if I go and expand this, you can see it is under the same service plan under which my production web app is, with the name Mahadev Azure plan, right? And if I go and copy this URL, let me just open up the incognito window, and let me paste that URL over here. So you can see that it is with the appended with staging, and you get the basic page over here. So we're going to make certain changes to this. For that, I'm going to use the Visual Studio, which I have used in my previous video. So let me go and launch it. We are going to make certain changes to this staging slot, and we will try to swap it. So let's go and create a new project. Give the project name and go to next. And let's click on create. I'm going to go into the views, open the home and go to index.html, and let me just make certain changes here. I'm just going to add in front of Mahadev, I'm going to add G. So welcome Mahadev G. That's the only change I'm going to make. And let me just publish this. My application resource group already appears over here since I'm already logged in with my Azure credential. And now you can see that I also have the deployment slots available. And I'll make this changes to my staging deployment slot. So let me highlight this and click on finish. And I'm going to click on publish at this stage. So the build has started, as you can see in the output, and hopefully those changes will be applied successfully. So you can see that it was published successfully. Let me just go back to my staging web app. You can see, and I'm going to refresh the page. And you can see that changes have been applied over here. We have added G over here, right? So let me go back to the Azure portal. And now what I can do is there are a couple of things I can do here. I can divide the traffic if I want, right? So right now you can see that 100% of the traffic goes to my production web app. I can go and change this number accordingly. I can make it 70, 30, 50, 50, whatever way I want. But what I want now is I want to swap this web app. So my staging web app will become the whatever changes we have made over here will be applied to my production web app. So let's go and pick this and swap it. So you can see in the source, it's my Mahadev staging slot, and the target is my production application, which is with the name Mahadev. Let's go and swap it. Okay, so we got the green check mark, as you can see. So let me close it and let's test this now. Right, so this is my production web app, and you can see that nothing has been added over here. But let me just go and refresh the page, and here we go. The swap has been applied successfully, and whatever code changes we have made to our staging slot has been applied to a production slot, right? And other thing is, in case we want to go to the previous version, I can now also swap it and it will go back to the previous version. And other thing, as I said, that the user, from the user perspective, there won't be any downtime because both my instance in the backend, they're already up and running. They are already warmed up. So as you move your application or code changes from one to another, the user, they won't experience any downtime. So with this, we have now a better understanding of what deployment slots within Azure App Services. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.